Good morning, everybody. Remember the name of our new month? June. It is June 2nd. June 2 would make sense, but June 2nd sounds better. And the year is 2020. It is a warm day in the season of spring. Summer is coming in about 18 days, but it's still spring. How are you feeling today? Remember, there are other feelings besides these ones that we don't have on the picture. You might feel scared or surprised or excited or nervous. I'm feeling happy today. I can't wait to show you this thing that I have. Wait till you see it. But first, we were talking about bugs and insects. Let's see if we can remember some of the things. We talked that they fly with wings. Which one of these words do you think says wings? This one or this one? That one, because it has the w, wings. This is the word moth. Remember, a moth is like a butterfly, except a moth has a wide body, a butterfly has a skinny body. A moth rests with its wings open, and a moth flies the opposite of day at night. Then we had some of these words. This bug is called a worm. A spider spins a web, and a lot of bugs and insects lay these eggs. We talked about spiders. They have 8 legs. Beetles are a type of insect, so they have 6 legs. Butterflies. Today we're going to read about bumblebees. We talked about the insects. They have 3 body parts. Insects also have, we know this, insects 6 legs. How many legs do we have? Just 2. This is an insect, grasshopper. We talked about ladybugs, bugs, caterpillars. Moths and butterflies are caterpillars first, and then a fly is a kind of a bug, and a fly is also something that moths and caterpillars do, and ladybugs as well. Today we are going to read about bumblebees. Look at this. This is a real, actual bumblebee. It is not alive. Don't panic. It was on my porch, and it's dead now, but look at this thing. Wow. I would not touch it if it were alive because you know that bumblebees sting. You can see I'm holding it by its wing. It's black and yellow. It has a fuzzy little body, and it's hard to tell, but it does have 6 legs, and it looks like 2 gigantic eyes. Well, today we have this book, Busy, Buzzy, Bee. And this story is a true story. It means somebody took pictures and they're going to teach us some information or some facts about bumblebees. The author is Karen Wallace. Busy, Buzzy bee. I see a lot of flowers. We know butterflies and moths like flowers. Maybe bees do as well. Busy bee has work to do. She crawls out of her hive. So that must be where bees live, in a hive. She spreads her wings. Busy bee is looking for a flower. Aha, so just like moths and butterflies, they like flowers. Busy bee flies over a stream. She flies past an oak tree and into a field. The field is full of flowers. So pretty. But butterflies would like to visit that as well. So would I. Busy bee lands on a flower. Each flower holds sweet drops of nectar. Bees make nectar into honey. Oh, we know butterflies drink nectar. Nectar and honey are food for bees. Busy bee laps the nectar with her long, narrow tongue, and she will take it back to the hive. Look at that tongue. Yowza. Each flower holds grains of pollen. Flower pollen is food for bees too. The pollen stick to Busy Bee's furry body. She brings it to the hive on her back 2 legs. Busy Bee is a worker bee. Inside the hive, there are thousands like her. All the worker bees are female. That would mean like they're girls or ladies. Busy Bee dances a dance, waggles her bottom, crawls in circles. Her dance shows the other bees where to find the flower nectar. So we might look at words or signs, we might point. The bee dances and wiggles around to show where the flower nectar is. Inside the hives, the bees make these little cells, and some of the cells are for honey, and the bees make that honey from the nectar. Look at that. Some are for the pollen that bees have collected, and some are for eggs that the queen bee lays. Aha, so they lay eggs as well. And that's an egg cell right there. Busy Bee has work to do. She feeds the drone bees. All the drones are the males. That means the boys. The drones mate with the queen bee. Then Busy Bee feeds the queen bee. The queen bee lays 1,000 eggs a day. Whoa. That's like 10 hundreds. That's a lot of eggs. Sheesh. Inside their cells, the eggs hatch into little bee grubs. They look like little white worms. Busy Bee and thousands like her take pollen mixed with the honey and they feed it to the hungry little grubs, the little babies. Busy Bee has work to do. She feeds the bee grubs every single day. When the grubs are 9 days old, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days old, that's not very old. She seals their cells with waxy covers. So she puts them in there. Inside their cells, the bee grubs change. They grow legs, they grow wings, they grow long, narrow tongues. And in 12 days, they change from the grubs to the bees. Wow. They crawl out and wait for their new wings to dry. Hey, butterflies have to wait for their wings to dry as well. Busy Bee and thousands like her touch the young bees with their feelers. That makes them feel welcome. They also feed them honey from the cells. Just like your mom or your dad or your brothers or your sisters touched you and hugged you when you were born, the little bees are touching and hugging the other ones and they're feeding them honey. Busy Bee has work to do. The young bees are hungry. Where can she find some more of that flower nectar? Where can she find more of that flower pollen? Look, another bee is doing a dance. She's found a garden full of flowers. She waggles her bottom and crawls in circles, and her dance shows Busy Bee how to find the garden. Busy Bee and thousands like her fly from the hive. They find the garden full of flowers. They drink the nectar. They take the pollen. Busy Bee has work to do. Wow. That was a lot of information in that story. So what did we learn about these little guys, bees? Do you remember some of the things? We learned that they have wings and they fly. We learned about the place that they live. Do you remember what it was called? It rhymes with dive. They live in a hive. The bees live in a beehive. And there was a picture of it. Looked like a bunch of these little things all together in a beehive. We learned that the bees lay eggs, just like some of the other bugs and insects we've talked about, just like chickens and ducks, those lay eggs also. We learned that bees really like to get the nectar and the pollen from the same thing that butterflies really like. Starts with, rhymes with wowers. Flowers, yeah, they really like those. Okay, let's see if we can review some of the things about bugs and insects that we know. I am thinking of the first sound in a bumblebee. Bumblebee. Yep. Some flowers can be a color that starts with R. Do you know what color we're thinking of? Red. I am thinking of something that spiders lay, and butterflies lay, and bumblebees lay. I'm thinking of eggs. Egg. Great. Do you remember the sound that N makes? I always think nose, but I guess you could think of neck. Nest. We learned that some spiders spin a web that looks a lot like a nest. I'm thinking of the thing. It's the beginning sound for grasshopper, and it's also the beginning sound for grub. They said a baby bee is a grub. Do you know which one would be the G sound? Yeah, G-G, grasshopper, G-G, grub. When I think of bees, I think of buzz. What is something that a spider spins? Web? A web. Good job. All right, can you think of the thing that is the insect or the bug before it's a butterfly or a moth? It's a caterpillar. Caterpillar! Great. Thinking of the way that a grasshopper might move. It might hop, or we might say it jumps. Jumps. Bees are black and what's the color that starts with ya? Yellow. Not butterflies, but the one with a wide body that's out at night. Moth. Moth. There is another kind of insect. It's called a hornet. They sting. Another one that stings is called a wasp. And guess who else stings? The bumblebee. That's why I would not touch this guy if it was alive, because it would sting me, and it really hurts a lot. I'm thinking of the word insect. What's the first sound? Insect. You're right. When I see I think of octopus, and they have 8 legs, and a spider has 8 legs too. Who knew they were so similar? All right, wow. What about the way a butterfly and a bee move? They fly. And where do they like to fly to? They like to get the pollen and the nectar from flowers. And speaking of pollen, pollen, and nectar. Okay, I'm going to take this little bumblebee guy, even though it's not alive anymore, and give it a proper funeral outside, give it a nice burial, and let it go free in the grass. Bye. I hope you can find a bumblebee that you can look at, but don't touch it.